Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something that, well, it scares a lot of us, right? Public speaking. We're going to break down how you can take all that anxiety and actually turn it into a powerful, focused performance. One that makes your message stick for all the right reasons.
So let's start with a story about a student named Mia. She gave this incredibly personal speech about her sister, who was on the waiting list for an organ donation. At the end, she shared that her sister had passed away while waiting, and, she just couldn't hold back the tears. Now, of course, the speech was memorable, but here's the thing. As Mia herself realized, her raw emotion became the main event. It kind of overshadowed the really important message she had about organ donation.
And Mia's story is just the perfect way to get into this, because it shows a really critical truth, Your delivery, it's not just the cherry on top. It's the whole vehicle that carries your message. It can lift your ideas up, make them soar, or, like what happened with Mia, it can accidentally become a huge distraction.
So what are we even talking about when we say delivery? Well, think of it as the grand finale of all your hard work. It's how you actually present everything you've researched and organized. And when you do it well, it sends this powerful, unspoken message to your audience that says, hey, I'm confident, I'm prepared, and you're going to want to hear this.
Okay, so before we can even get into projecting all that confidence, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room for so many of us. And that is just that feeling of pure, gut-wrenching fear.
You know that feeling? Your heart starts pounding, your hands get all sweaty just thinking about getting up on a stage? Well, guess what? You are not alone. Not by a long shot. That feeling actually has a name. It's called communication apprehension, and it is unbelievably common. The big takeaway here is don't let it make you feel isolated. It's a totally normal human thing. And hey, you're in some pretty amazing company. I mean, we're talking about absolute legends of stage and screen here. Get this, Mel Gibson was apparently so nervous during his first performance that his legs just gave out from under him and he had to sit down. So see, the goal isn't to make the fear disappear completely. That's probably not going to happen. The real goal is to manage it, to get it under control so you can still do your thing. And I've got a really practical tool for you right here. It's called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Dr. Andrew Wall recommends it, and it's the super powerful but also really discreet way to just calm everything down. Basically, it's like a natural tranquilizer for your nervous system. It breaks that whole cycle of shallow, panicky breathing that just feeds your anxiety. All right, so hopefully we're all feeling a little calmer now. Let's build on that. We're going to shift gears from the internal game, managing that fear, to the external game. How you shape your message with the words you choose. First up is tone. Think of it as the whole emotional vibe of your speech. And get this, it's often set by your body language before you even open your mouth. Now, your main tone should obviously match your topic, right? You're not going to deliver a eulogy with a big, cheerful grin. But you can, and you absolutely should, vary that tone throughout your speech to kind of guide your audience on an emotional journey with you. Now, this is a fantastic example of the next piece of the puzzle. Style. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got Daniel Webster with this really ornate, kind of fancy language. It's all designed to get you emotional, to stir up that feeling of national pride. The other version? It's plain, direct, gets right to the point. And look, neither one is better than the other. They just create totally different effects. The trick is figuring out which style is going to work best for what you're trying to do. But no matter what style you choose, ornate, plain, whatever, clarity is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to be clear. That's why being specific is so crucial. If you just say, Bob is a terrible person, what does that even mean? But if you say, Bob uses vulgar language and constantly belittles his friends, now we get it. We have a concrete picture. That kind of precision is what builds your credibility.
And you know what the #1 enemy of clarity is? Jargon. Seriously, unless you are 100% positive that every single person in your audience knows what sequelae or MI means, just don't use it. It's like speaking a secret code. It just makes people feel left out, and they'll probably tune you out completely.
Okay, so how do you get style and clarity? Well, one of the most powerful tools in your toolbox is the metaphor. When JFK called on politicians to be a city upon a hill, he wasn't just trying to sound poetic. He was painting a picture in people's minds. He took this big, complex idea about leadership and responsibility and boiled it down into one single, powerful, unforgettable image. That's what a good metaphor does. So, let's start putting all these pieces together. We're going to take everything, managing the fear, getting the tone right, choosing your style, and use it all to build what we call your public persona. First things first, you got to pick your method of delivery.
You've got Impromptu on one end, totally off the cuff. And on the other, you've got the Manuscript, reading every single word. That's great for, a president. But for most of us, the sweet spot is right in the middle, the extemporaneous speech. You work from a really solid outline, which gives you structure, but it doesn't make you sound like a robot. It lets you actually connect with people.
And using that method is what really lets you project a persona. Now hold on, this isn't about being fake. It's not an act. It's about choosing which part of your authentic self is right for the moment. Just think about it for a second. Do you think Martin Luther King Jr. talked to his kids at the dinner table the same way he delivered the "I have a dream" speech? Of course not. He was a different version of himself for a different situation. It's all about being appropriate for the occasion. Your persona is really built from all these little tangible things, like what's your speaking rate? Are you rushing or dragging? Are you using vocal variety, or is everything monotone? What about eye contact? Are you actually looking at people and building that trust? And what's your body language saying? When you start to master all of these little things, that's when a speech really becomes a performance. So what's the secret? How do you make all that feel natural and not, super rehearsed and stiff? Well, there's no magic bullet. The secret is practice. Yep, practice, practice, practice. You have to actually say the words out loud, time yourself, and the best thing you can do is grab a friend and practice in front of them so they can give you some real, honest feedback.
All right, for our last section, let's pull all this together and talk about something a little deeper. We're going to look at the responsibility you have when you speak in public, because it's not just about the techniques, right? It's really about trust. The ancient Greeks, they had a word for this, ethos. And ethos is basically your credibility. It's the why behind an audience's decision to trust you. You build it with your expertise, your confidence, the whole persona you project. And it's everything. It's the foundation your entire speech is built on.
Then there's pathos. This is the appeal to emotion. It's all about connecting with your audience's hearts. Mia's speech, the one we started with, it had a ton of pathos. But as we saw, if it's not balanced, that emotion can just completely take over and drown out the message. And finally, there's logos. That's the appeal to logic, the appeal to the head. This is your actual argument, the facts, the stats, the reasoning that makes people go, yeah, that makes sense. A truly great, unforgettable speech finds the perfect balance between all three: ethos, pathos, and logos, credibility, emotion, and logic. And getting that balance right, well, that takes a real ethical commitment on your part. An ethical speaker is careful with their language, they use visual aids responsibly, and this is a big one, they respect the audience's time. Seriously, going over your time limit isn't just bad planning, it's just plain disrespectful to every single person who showed up to listen. And that brings us right back to where we started. Your delivery doesn't just carry your message. For the audience, it pretty much is your message. A powerful, important idea like Mia's really deserves a delivery that's just as clear and focused as the message itself. So I'll leave you with this question. What is your delivery saying about you?